Now,
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:06 on a historic Monday in your nation's capital. You'll hear everything here on O'Connor and Company, America's morning show, and on WMAL, America's talk radio station. Joining us at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva on the legal implications that the DNC faces now going forward. 7:35, Matt Schlapp of the American Conservative Union. 8:05, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. And then at 8:35, Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Julie.
CBS News had a brief conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, "I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act." We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, "In my humble opinion, absolutely."
That's an eyebrow-raising report yesterday afternoon from CBS News. Joining us to discuss that and his own reporting at the White House over the course of the last 24 hours is the senior White House correspondent for Newsmax, James Rosen. Well, James, history in the making, as usual, and you are a student of history, certainly. Give us some context on what we're seeing right here. I hear it compared to George Washington relinquishing command of the Continental Army and Lyndon Baines Johnson deciding not to run. But this is a little different than both of those decisions, isn't it?
Inevitably. Great to be with you, Larry and Julie, both. That report by my White House colleague from CBS News, Nancy Cortez, recounting sentiments from President Biden's brother, of course, add some context, but are no substitute for us hearing from President Biden himself. One aspect of this, among many, that was notable was that when President Biden chose to do this via a letter that he released, not on presidential stationery, he simply said that while it had been his intention to seek re-election, he is now convinced that it would be in the best interest of the party and the nation for him not to do so. And that reminded me of some very different but circumstances with some similarities when President Nixon announced his resignation from the presidency. In a televised address on August 8, 1974, he said that he was doing so because he had lost his political base in the Congress. Now, in each case, the sentence is true as far as it goes. Mr. Biden relinquished because he had become convinced that this was in the best interest of his party. And Mr. Nixon told us that he had lost his political base in the Congress. Both statements evaded the central reasons why it became in the best interest of the party, or why that political base was lost. And presumably we'll hear more about that in some form or fashion, not from the president's brother, but from the president himself, presumably when he's free of COVID and can make a televised address.
Well, before that, you'll be talking to Karine Jean-Pierre, who just, it was just a few weeks ago. I don't even think it was 2 weeks ago that we're hearing about cheap fakes. It was earlier this month where you yelled out during the press briefing, "Is he disabled?" And you were shouted down. You were treated like that was a terrible thing to ask. What do you think it's going to be like today? Is it today? Is the briefing today or tomorrow? I can't remember.
The president's, I believe, still in Delaware, so typically when the president's on the road, there is no briefing at the White House.
Okay.
The guidance provided by the White House provided no indication of a briefing today.
So the next briefing, what do you think it will be like with Karine Jean-Pierre, who sat at that podium and lied to the Washington press corps for weeks and made them feel bad for even asking, and went down this road of cheap fakes and dismissals for any serious questions about the president's health?
Well, as a matter of factual accuracy, she stood at the podium. I won't. Maybe there are other aspects of how you laid it out that could be subject to dispute from Karine Jean-Pierre.
All right,
but
pedantic boy, just get to it.
But just get to it. I think that there's two aspects to this, and this is going to be very much an issue in this campaign. The idea that there was a cover-up of President Biden's decline, or at least an attempted cover-up. And as someone who wrote a book about the ultimate cover-up, the Watergate cover-up,
Yeah.
I would say as cover-ups go, this was always a quixotic enterprise because, after all, there's only so much you can do to shield the President of the United States from the glare of public appearances and speaking. And at all points along the way, I think it was only middlingly successful because we were able to see what we could see. But nonetheless, that's going to be an issue, and it speaks to the duality of this moment. Yes, we are concerned with the immediate headlines and the immediate future, which is to say how Vice President Harris now goes about claiming this nomination and taking the fight to Donald Trump and how that impacts the race and so forth. But there's a historical aspect to this that's also sort of clamoring for our attention right now. And it's present in a figure such as Barack Obama, the former president of the United States. Just in June, he stood on a stage in Los Angeles and then sat on a stage in Los Angeles, or to be more accurate, on a chair on a stage in Los Angeles, and raised $28 million by participating in an event whose salient point was that President Biden is fit to remain in office, and you should give your money to support him. And that was the largest fundraiser in American history. Barack Obama currently enjoys approval ratings somewhere around 60%. How will his historical reputation fare? And when you asked about Karine Jean-Pierre, the next White House press briefing will be an exercise in this duality by trying to make headlines with her and get her to say newsworthy things, but also holding her to account in historical terms, looking back at what she said in those briefings. And this is an exercise that's going to take place over decades and really shape the legacy of Joe Biden.
James Rosen is our guest. And James, let me, again, as a student of history, back in the Cold War, let's say the aging leader of the Soviet Union or the Communist Party, the General Secretary, let's say, was under fire from many of the party elders that it's time for him to step down and make way for fresh young blood. And inexplicably, he disappears from the public eye. It's claimed that he has an illness and he has retreated to his home to recover from it. Then, without any other public statement, 4 days later, he issues a written resignation, and his successor is immediately chosen, and we're told that he endorses that successor, although it's all communicated through social media accounts that we know that aging political leader doesn't control. There is no photograph of the aging leader signing the letter that he supposedly composed, and there's no word from that leader or his wife or his son for days on end. And his schedule is cleared now for the next several days as the entire process is sort of put into limbo. What would our reaction have been at that time in the Cold War to see such a thing transpire in the old Soviet Union?
The Kremlinologists of the era would have considered the scenario, as you laid it out, quite consistent with the conduct of a totalitarian regime such as the Soviet Union. And
a bloodless coup, basically, that the party elders had just taken matters into their own hands.
That kind of language, it's hard to dispute at this point. It was interesting to see how this rolled out. And yes, as you point out, perhaps the central feature of how it was rolled out was the president's absence from view, not even a still photograph. Yeah. Perhaps this, too, is a function of his genuinely having COVID. Perhaps the reason that an address wasn't given yesterday was because with technicians needed to assist in the transmission, they did not want a different kind of transmission to take place. And that's being delayed until such time as the president's Paxlovid course has run its course. We do know that he's supposed to be seen Tuesday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And what an extraordinary moment for Netanyahu, who suffered the indignity of a White House invitation being withheld from him when he most recently seized the prime ministership in Israel. And to have faced such criticism and dissension with President Biden over the conflict of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, now for Netanyahu to visit Washington and presumably conduct this meeting with this man he's known for 40 years on one of the first days of his lame duck presidency, that's got to be something of a mind blower even for someone as experienced as Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, party affiliation aside, if you're a news junkie, a politics junkie, and a history buff like James Rosen, these are the days you live to cover from the front lines, and that's exactly where he is for Newsmax, and we're glad he shares his time with us as well. James, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you both.
And no outgoing swipe at me. Did you notice that? He was very polite. He was very, I know there's something going on here. I don't know what to make of it, but we like
Let's
this
just let
new
it go.
James
Let's
Rosen.
just let it go.
No, I appreciate it. It's good. I just want to point it out. It did not go unnoticed, James. It's 6:17. Let's get straight to Steve Hirshorn and the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live.
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
News is brought to you by New Look Home Design.
WMAL, making sense of world events. Because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Barack Obama did put out a statement yesterday. Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents. Not greatest presidents, not good president even, just consequential.
Yeah, well, there were some consequences there.
As well as a dear friend and partner to me. Nobody believes that.
Yep.
Today, we've also been reminded again that he's a patriot of the highest order. It's interesting. In Joe Biden's statement, he said he was doing this in the best interest of his party and the country in that order. So he's a party apparatchik before he's a patriot.
That's right.
Barack Obama, in his full statement, he neglected to endorse Joe Biden. Alongside Barack Obama is Representative Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Dick Durbin, who have also neglected to endorse Kamala Harris. Sam, driving on I-95, wants to jump in and comment on that in particular. Hey, Sam, you're up on O'Connor and Company. Good morning.
How you doing today, Mr. O'Connor? Okay, so I hope you can hear me well. I'm down near Richmond.
You sound great.
I was just I love you guys, and we're in the minority up there in Maryland and around that area, so you do a great job. Anyway, my comment was that nobody's talking about Michelle Obama, whether it's because it's a conspiracy theory type thing or what whatever it is. The media, we know the media is complicit. They're kind of keeping it hush hush. She's the only one polling right now that's beating Donald Trump, and I just can't find it hard to believe that the Democratic machine and the media, who's with them, would take, Joe Biden out because, as you've commented on your show so far, it's all about him winning. It's all about them winning.
Yeah, it's about winning and holding on to power, and they're going to do whatever it takes to do that. The reason why people aren't talking about Michelle Obama, and I want you to finish, Sam, because I'm interested in your take, but the reason that everybody's talking about Kamala Harris is understandable. First of all, she's the natural number 2 as the vice president. Secondly, she's lined up endorsements from the Clintons as well as Joe Biden himself, as well as major unions right now. And the idea of Michelle Obama, who's never run for office right now, although it is a tantalizing idea and could very well be in the mix right now, it's a bit of an inside straight that they would draw to. It's not the natural progression. And I think that it's understandable that the media would focus on what the natural next steps are, not a earth-shattering, out of left field kind of thing. But you think that this really is lining up for a Michelle Obama succession in Chicago?
The way you just explained it, I'm 1,000% with you. But I just think that, see them going through this whole process just to trot out somebody else. We're talking about Kamala. It is the natural, succession and progression. But she's unelectable. They know that. You know that. I know that. And I just can't believe that the Democratic machine, who is, quote, unquote, terrified of a Donald Trump presidency, would just say, okay, we're gonna go with that. Yeah,
we're gonna roll our dice with Kamala. Yeah. All right, Sam.
Exactly.
I appreciate the call, and I'm glad we got you in here. That's Sam driving down to Richmond on I-95. What do you think, Julie? Is this really set up for Michelle?
No, I think that I definitely do not think Michelle Obama is going to emerge. And the reason is there is one thing, there's one key ingredient. She has to want it. And Michelle Obama has always, she has this sort of rich history of being kind of negative, saying, when Obama was elected, it was the first time she felt proud for her country.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this to say that's not going to go over well with voters. I'm saying I don't think she wants this.
Yeah.
I don't think she has a calling. I don't think she has. Are you kidding? She has a great life.
It is interesting you say that. The last time I filled in for Mark Levin, somebody called in and said that they're setting it up for Michelle Obama, and she'll be the figurehead, and she'll do all of the, the photo ops and the posing and everything and all the ceremony, but it'll really be Barack Obama doing all the work. And I'm like, dude, that's the thing she hates the most. She hates the pomp and circumstance. And she hates all of those photo ops, and all of the ceremony is something that is celebratory of America who we are and our history and our legacy.
Also,
and that's the stuff that
but
she disdains.
Also, I'm sorry. I'm no fan of Michelle Obama, but I hardly think that she'd be fine with being the figurehead while her husband does all the really big stuff behind the scenes. I mean, I don't see her as someone who's just like, use me for photo ops and my husband can really be in charge.
Yeah, but everyone who believes this, and including Sam and I-95, they do have one wild card here that you just heard played, and that is this. The Democrats will, in fact, do whatever is necessary to keep Donald Trump from winning this election. And when push comes to shove, if it is determined at the highest levels of that party that their only chance is to bring in Michelle, then that may be exactly what they do. Because at all costs, they cannot let Donald Trump win. And that's why, at all costs, we got to hang together, or we will surely hang separately. It's 6:24.
Now,
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a great lineup today at 6:05. Oh, we already did 6:05. It's 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. At 7:35, we'll talk to Matt Schlapp, chairman of CPAC. At 8:05, Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. And at 8:35, Tom Bevan with Real Clear Politics. I'm Julie Gunlock alongside Larry O'Connor. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Julie. And if anyone missed that 6:05 interview with James Rosen, they can subscribe and download the podcast. And we'd love to take your calls at 888-630 WMAL.
That's right. So President Trump and J.D. Vance sat down with Jesse Waters to do a pre-taped interview. It's going to air tonight. It's a must-watch interview. Both men made some pretty provocative statements. Let's listen to cut one.
You'd investigate the people that hid Joe Biden's condition?
Well, I think somebody has to look at it. Look, you had people that lied to the American public. And I tell you what, you ought to take a look at his doctors, because his doctors keep giving him this wonderful report. I'm not a doctor, but I saw him the other day, was unable to get up the children's stairs going into Air Force Ones.
Is it a coup against Joe Biden?
Sort of, yeah.
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a constitutional process, the 25th Amendment. If Joe Biden can't run for president, he can't serve as president. And if they want to take him down because he's mentally incapable of serving, invoke the 25th Amendment. You don't get to sort of do this in the most politically beneficial way for Democrats. If it's an actual problem, they should take care of it in the appropriate way.
Indeed.
Yeah. I think it was a Democrat who said never, always take advantage of a crisis. And I think it is really smart that they are talking about this. The media and the Democrats and Democrats in leadership, they want to memory hold this, just like they want to memory hold the assassination. By the way, they want this to go away. Let's move on. Let's find our nominee. Let's not act like 14 million voters are disenfranchised at this point.
Yeah, Axios reporting this morning that the Democrats are committed to a orderly and transparent process. It's not going to be either of those things. This is a backroom deal situation, and it really tells you something about, say what you will about Donald Trump. He is not an establishment guy.
No.
He doesn't take a knee to the powers that be in the party. He's told major donors of the party, you don't like what I stand for? You don't like America First? Go somewhere else. I got my own money. I'll raise money somewhere else. That's the opposite of what we're seeing right here. What we're seeing right here is the party lining up and anointing the next in line to keep the donors happy and to keep the establishment happy and the machine happy. And one wonders if someone like a Joe Manchin or someone else other than Kamala Harris might actually upend things at this convention. The delegates have not been assigned to Kamala Harris. The delegates have been released. and that means the delegates can vote for whoever they want.
That's right. Well, at least one person is acting like it is going to be Kamala. J.D. Vance on Saturday was at a rally in Michigan. And this was, of course, before the Biden announcement. But he had some not so nice things to say about Kamala Harris. Do you want to listen to it? Cut 2.
It's such an incredible, blessed week. What a cool thing it was to be asked by President Trump to serve as his running mate and to get out there on the campaign trail. But there's some bad news, actually. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, she doesn't like me. Kamala Harris said something to the effect that I have no loyalty to this country. Well, I don't know, Kamala. I did serve in the United States Marine Corps and build a business. What the hell have you done other than collect a check?
Good for him.
What has she done other than collect a check from her political offices? And we have to give her credit, my friends. She did serve as border czar during the biggest disaster open border that we've ever had in this country. Let's get President Trump back there, close down that border, and bring some common sense and security to this country.
Yeah, it's J.D. Vance up there at the rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, making the case against Kamala Harris, who he assumed he would be squaring off with in a debate. Honestly, probably the saddest person about this entire turn of events is J.D. Vance, because he was so ready, and we were ready for that debate.
He can still go at her, and I feel bad. I shouldn't have characterized that as not saying nice things about her. She is the one who said something totally disrespectful of this veteran. So I stand corrected.
Donald Trump this morning, he has woken up. He is on True Social. By the way, it should be noted, nothing from Joe Biden anywhere. Donald Trump says this now. This is just 15 minutes ago. It's a new day, and Joe Biden doesn't remember quitting the race yesterday. He's demanding his campaign schedule and arranging talks with President Xi of China and Putin of Russia concerning the possible start of World War III. Biden is sharp, decisive, energetic, angry, and ready to go. The Democrats pick a candidate, crooked Joe Biden. He loses the debate badly, then panics, makes mistake after mistake, is told he can't win, and decides they will pick another candidate, probably Harris. They stole the race from Biden after he won it in the primaries. A first. These people are the real threat to democracy. Who is running our country right now? It's not crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country. And one more thing. Last night, he said Biden never had COVID. He's a threat to democracy. Yeah, a little transparency in the whole COVID diagnosis would be nice, too, because it is inexplicable how this entire thing has transpired.
Just really quickly, Vance mentioned him going up I think they called it the kiddie stairs now, which cracks me up, the child stairs, whatever they call it. But there was also a video of him getting in that SUV and needing a Secret Service agent, or whoever was with him, his handler, sort of lifting his legs. And if you haven't seen that, it's he descends slowly. He does this weird waving, but he's moving very slowly. And then literally, it reminded me of Hillary having to be thrown into that van like a sack of potatoes at that 9/11 rally.
Sorry, Julie, that's a cheap fake.
Oh, yeah.
The president is sharp as ever. He's got vim and vigor. He's ready to go. 4 more years, 643.
WMAL, more than just politics, because laughter is the best medicine. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
More intrigue surrounding the mysterious nature of this announcement from Joe Biden, or at least the announcement that was published on his X account. That's actually the most accurate description of what has happened here, because we don't know. We really don't know 100% whether Joe Biden has made this statement. We only know that a statement is put out in his name, and it has been published on his account, an account that we know he doesn't run. So until we actually hear from the president, that's really the only accurate way of describing what's going on. That's right. That is, at the very least, intriguing. Patricia is in the district. She's been holding for a bit, and we do want to hear your reactions all morning at 888-630 WMAL. Patricia, what to make of all of this?
Well, I'm hoping that most honest voters, Dems especially, will realize that the media has been lying to them all along about the Biden condition, especially since 2019. And Jill Biden, she's been lying. She needs to be publicly shamed. But they also need to bring up the media lies, 9 years of lies. The Russia hoax, the Ukraine impeachment, the Hunter Biden laptop, on and on. 9 years of lies. Keep bringing it up. He needs to be vindicated.
We will, Patricia, and we do, and I appreciate the support there. And I hear this a lot, that it's like, okay, Democrats will now recognize the fact that the media's been lying to them, that the White House has been lying to them, Democrats, Kamala Harris has been lying to them. I don't know if they care. Honestly, the 35% of Democrat voters who voted for Joe Biden or who will vote for whoever is up there, they don't care about that. In fact, they'll embrace the lies if it means stopping Donald Trump. It's a twofold priority for them. Stop Trump, stay in power. Stop Trump, stay in power. And so I think they're fine with the lies, Patricia. I hate to be that cynical.
Well, I agree with you. I'm just being hopeful, and thank you for listening.
You bet, Patricia. Thank you for listening. Go ahead.
I agree with Patricia, though. I agree that there are some Democrats. I had an exchange on Twitter with someone a couple days ago who was just singing Biden's praises, and I was just shocked. How can this person think that way? But I'm with Patricia. I think that that Trump and Vance and the Republicans in general need to continue to remind people of how they were lied to, because I do think there's a persuadable, more independent Democrat who is angry at this, and who would think, you know what, I'm not sure I trust all these institutions. I'm not sure I trust, George Clooney on stage with Biden days, just a little bit ago, having to shepherd Biden off stage. Everybody knows they were lying, and then the next day saying, "Oh, he's vital, he's doing great." Like, I think people don't react well to that.
Again, I'm speaking about those 35% of Democrats who aren't going to move. But you're right. No. The people we're talking about here, and who Patricia is talking about, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in other critical states, they're the same people who voted for Obama, believing in hope and change, then voted for Trump, and then they were lied to about COVID. They were lied to about Trump. They were lied to about Russian collusion. They were lied to about Biden's condition. They've been lied to for the last 3.5 years. The lies are all exposed, and now where will they go? If the Democrats think that they'll just fall in line and vote for Harris because of all the same old lies, I think they got a sad reawakening coming their way. Show me the voter who was going to vote for Trump over Biden, who will now say, oh, well, now that it's Kamala, count me in, I'm with her. I don't know who that voter is. I'm sure one or two of them exist, but I don't think it's enough to swing a state.